Okay, so if you like the last car, you're really going to love this one. This is a 1971 446 barrel Roadrunner, and I'm going to let Tim take this right from the top because he's got a lot to say about this one.
This is my 71 6-barrel Roadrunner. I'm the original owner. I bought it brand new August 6, 1971. I was right out of college and I got my first job teaching school, and I found this car and bought it. It's a super track pack car, which means along with a 446 barrel, the super track pack option gave you front disc brakes, a 26-inch radiator, and a 410 Dana 60 rear end. It's been my pride and joy since day one, and I affectionately call it the Queen. Other than a Mustang that I had that I swapped in on this is my first car. This is my first new car. It's the one I've owned the longest, and I have the most amount of affection toward because of the sentimental nature of owning it for almost 50 years now. The beauty of the car is it's a very low production car. Chrysler was on strike with the auto workers for about 6 months during the 71 model year. This is a very late build car. It was built in the end of April of 71. It's been restored very mildly with basically a disassembly, repaint, and reassembly again. It has everything that's original except the tires, belts and hoses, and the mufflers. The H-pipe, which is the exhaust pipe that goes from the manifolds to the muffler, is still the original one on the car. It's a very uniquely optioned car. It's one of 109 446 barrel automatics. After showing the car for almost 50 years now, I've never seen a duplicate in this color combination. This is bright white. They call it snow white. The roof stripe is a reflective gold stripe, and in certain light conditions it turns almost silver, and it's very flip-floppy. It's a 3M product. They offered it in black, white, and then later on gold and red. So the gold stripe is very unusual. It has a saddle bench seat interior with a column shift automatic. It came with 15x7 wheels. The trim rings were an option, and the G60 tires came with the super track pack option. Also, the beauty of the car is it's the first year of this body style. They call it the fuselage body. And I've read tests where they took this body style, removed the mirrors, and the drag coefficient for aerodynamics was almost as good as the Superbirds. They had planned to put a Superbird style nose on it and a wing for NASCAR, but NASCAR said no more of these aerodynamic freaks for racing. They need to look more like a production car. So that never happened, but they had planned to do that for NASCAR racing. I drive it on the street. It's never been in the winter. It hasn't been wet in 25 years. I basically squirt bottle and wipe it off. It never gets bucket washed even. And it's got just a little over 50,000 miles in 47 years.
Okay, so you never drove it in the winter, and I was a kid in the 70s or a kid in the 60s, got my driver's license in the late 70s. Everybody who had everything drove it all year round, except for a very select few. What made you one of those select few?
Well, I realized that the car was going to be absolutely horrid in the snow with the 410 rear end, and I didn't want it to rust out before I paid for it. And so I put it away the first winter and bought a 60 Chevy for $100 and drove that during the winter. Got this back out in the spring, drove it all summer, put away in the fall, bought another winter car. So it's never been in the snow, and it saved the car, and it literally preserved it so I could keep so many of the original parts, like the original exhaust pipe, for example. The motor has never been apart. It's been repainted, It's had chrome accessories on and off during the years as that was stylish and the fun thing to do. But it's all original except the rubber products and one repaint.
So you mentioned that you didn't want it to rust out before you paid for it. How long did it take to pay for this car?
I financed it for 3 years. It was $91.40 a month, which was a lot of money. I was only making $11,000 as a starting teacher, and to spend $4,100 on a Roadrunner was a lot of money. But I managed to do it, and I've saved it all these years, and it just means the absolute world to me.
Okay, well, we've got the basic story on it. Let's take a moment, break it down, and take a look at all the details of the car.
Okay, let's look at some of the details that makes this thing a 446 barrel. It's not a 6-cylinder. This is also a 1-year only little creature. All the little kids at the car show want to come up and squeeze it because they think it's going to squeak or beep, and it doesn't, and they're so disappointed, but they all love to pinch it. That's the engine with all 3 carburetors, and it's never been disassembled. The heads have never been off. It's never been rebuilt. It's just the way it came from the factory with a fresh coat of paint.
So a lot of people, they did like hardened seats with the valves and stuff with the unleaded gas. Nothing like that?
I've never had any trouble with it. I run ethanol-free 91 in all the cars, and I haven't had, knock on wood, had any issues with it. It came with 3 2-barrel Hollies. And early emissions things were starting, like PCV and crankshaft ventilation, return vapor lines, things like that, because the 70s were the beginning of the emissions era. And those are the 3 vacuum activated Holley carburetors. That's the +6.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So aside from the battery, this is pretty much
Yes,
it was, right?
The battery, belts, and hoses are the only things that have been replaced on it since I restored it. And I restored it, repainted it about 14 years ago. It's held up very well. The air grabber that opens the hood door to let cold air into the carburetors is vacuum actuated with this cylinder. And it closes this and opens the air grabber on the hood for cold air. It is debatable how much it really adds horsepower wise, but it's a cool little gimmick, and it was great for advertising.
So do you ever open it up, or?
No, not usually. The big thing is the Roadrunner horn, which is this little purple beauty right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it beeps.
Oh, we got to hear that.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
It's actually still got the original radiator in it.
Really?
Yep, it needs to be repainted, I see. But it's original radiator, original master cylinder, original power brake booster. I basically took it apart, repainted it, replaced the rubber parts, and put it back together.
So let's have a look at that interior.
This is the base satellite Roadrunner bench seat interior and saddle. It's a manual steering, manual brake, radio delete car. So it didn't have any interior options. It didn't have bucket seats or console or anything like that that raised the price up. Because the thing back in the Musclecar days was drivetrain and power, very few cosmetic items, dress-up items.
Just more weight and more money.
Yeah, and to keep the price down, this car was ordered with very few frills. And it's a good old solid car, original upholstery and everything. That's how they closed back then.
So, I've been to a lot of shows. I've seen a lot of cars. I've seen a lot of Roadrunners. I've never seen this color combination. Is it that rare to have a white car with the gold stripe especially?
Very much so, and especially with a tan interior. Most of the white ones I've seen have a black interior and a black stripe. And even they're fairly rare. But the gold stripe being a late option availability in the saddle interior is very unusual. I found the car on a dealer's lot by accident, actually, and I swapped in a 68 Mustang for it. It was a used car when I bought it, and I bought this brand new, and I didn't want to wait till 72 because all the car magazines were saying there was going to be no more six-packs, no more street Hemis. It was going to be a single four-barrel detuned 440 at best. And I didn't want to miss out on the best of the muscle car years, so I bought this 71 instead of waiting for a 72.
So it really was kind of at the end of an era.
Oh, absolutely. The insurance companies were killing these cars, and the emissions was starting to be a big factor, and the looming energy crunch in the Middle East in the mid-70s was starting, and gas prices were creeping higher. When I bought this car, you could buy a gallon of regular gas for 19 cents a gallon. 260 Sunoco was about 28 cents a gallon. And in the 3 or 4 years to follow, it went up to $1.50, which seems cheap today, but it was just horrendous back then. And these cars were basically parked or sold with pennies on the dollar because of the fuel costs increased. I just put it away and saved it.
So, what you got for a trunk?
It's huge by today's standards. It has another G60 tire on the steel wheels.
Oh, full-size spare. This is something that's a
absolutely.
thing of the past.
This is the original trunk mat and the original jack assembly and everything. This is original factory paint. When I repainted the car, this was the best paint from the factory, so I masked it and saved it. And just to show you the build quality that everybody really thinks was perfect today, and it wasn't in the day, this is a factory dent that was in the trunk lid before it was painted. And they didn't replace it on the assembly line, they just painted over it and it went down the line. The other thing that this car is really special to me for is this is one of the magazine features that was in Mopar Muscle magazine. Greg Rager was the editor, and a dear friend of mine, Bobby Stone, did this photo feature for Greg on the car at Chrysler Carlisle in Pennsylvania. And after this magazine was published, one of the shots from this photo feature was used by Johnny Lightning to make this die-cast car. This is the shot from the magazine, and that's my car, and this is the little die-cast that they manufactured from it. So it's really cool that there's a die-cast that's like my Roadrunner with the exception of the wheels, but it is my Roadrunner because it's on the package. That is really special to me. And hopefully there's thousands of little kids that have this, or older kids that have it in their collection, and it's my car. It's not just a fictitious one. And it came from that photo shoot. The other thing that's kind of neat, I've always had extinct plates on it.
I was going to ask about that. I noticed that, and I was wondering what that was about.
Well, the extinct refers to the fact that these aren't around anymore. They're a dinosaur. And this has been kept alive through a lot of care and a lot of tender loving affection. But I want people to realize that there's something different going on, that this isn't just another car on the road. It's a time warp, time capsule car, very much like a dinosaur in a museum, only this is still driven, and driven a fair amount every year. And it also has the Warner Brothers Roadrunner on the trunk.